Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nexus channel. This is M, and today we're bringing you a great new video where we are gonna look at some underrated, in our opinion, PQ deck lists that you can consider since we are diving into PQ season. And today, I'm not alone. I'm here with my good friend Trevi. Trevi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited. Yeah, our goal today is to just give you some. I don't know if I would necessarily want to call them off meta, but just maybe some slightly unexpected lists, maybe some overlooked lists. Basically, like Emmy said, some underrated lists, possibly. I definitely say that some of them are probably just overlooked in the sense that, I mean, we already have really great options, and there just might be a few other options that you just haven't seen yet, or maybe you haven't seen enough of yet, and might be worth some consideration.
Totally. Yeah. I think we spoken right before recording on how, it's hard to deck build, and at times it's just easier to leave it to other people to figure it out. But hopefully these ideas can, bring a spark in what is your own deck building process. Before we dive into that, Trevi, tell us a bit about yourself, your channel, where people can find you.
For sure. Yeah, my name's Travi. I have a channel on YouTube you can check out called Travi CCG, just like right here below my camera. You can see it. Yeah, I have a long history of card games from being literally in elementary school and finding out about the Pokemon TCG and then Yu-Gi-Oh, and then in like high school and past high school and beyond playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, going to like nationals and stuff there. And eventually in 2016, leaving Yu-Gi-Oh behind forever, and just playing some digital card games like Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra. Eventually to Marvel Snap, which I also still play, and then last year played Battle Spirit Saga competitively for the money. They had some cash prizing, and then finding out about Star Wars last year, getting super hyped for it, and playing a bunch of Star Wars now. And the channel is essentially all about Star Wars. So you can check out some stuff there. Hopefully, there should be some different value that you can gain from my channel than you would be able to gain from some others, such as the amazing Nexus podcast here. And yeah, that's what I got to say.
Awesome. No, it's so great to have you. And, plus one, totally agree. There's some amazing videos you're putting out in terms of also um, new decks, as we're talking about that today. Travi and I actually spoke about Star Wars Unlimited the first time during a pro tour for Battle Spirit Saga. And I just remember him being so excited about the game. And I didn't even know what it was. So it's great to, find ourselves here today. But let's jump straight into, shall we? Right, I'm gonna fix my face.
Yeah, do your thing.
For first, and let's start. Let's start from here. We're gonna start from what is, not original in the sense that obviously we came out with. This is from Swoop Racers, good friends of the channel. We've given them lots of shout outs in the past. You might know we have utilized this list. This is the latest version of Hand to Green, as we call it. We like to call it Zoo. And this is a deck that has been extremely um, successful for Swoop Racers and other players, such as Ollie from the channel. And I think is very much underplayed. I think is seen as an aggro deck, which, Sabine by definition now is the aggro deck. And so people are discounting it a little bit, but it's not really a Sabine like deck. And I think it's worth touching on this and explaining why. But before I do that and share my own opinion, I want to know, Travi, if you've seen this deck, you played it, what do you think about it?
I've played against deck lists like this a little bit, and I've seen I've seen the performance from this deck, and I've seen it in action for sure. And like you mentioned, so many cards in it are the same cards you would play in a Sabine list. It is the same colors, the same hero colors. You still get to play Energy Conversion Lab, and it still has a lot of the same like bomb cards of Poe, Dark Saber, Wrecker, of course, all super strong cards that help you end the game. And a K2, I think K2 is probably one of the most insane cards in the game in general. People always talk about Wrecker, but yeah, K2, I can't tell you how many games I've lost because just K2 is on the board and I can't let K2 attack me, and I also can't kill K2 or I die. So, I think that this deck is just as viable as Sabine, and I think that you also probably have a slight advantage, of course, depending on your area. And that's the other, like, probably thing that I want to say, even before we go into actually recommending all of these lists, is that the best thing you can do is be aware of what people are playing, where you're playing. If you have some friends that are like go to the events that you don't in your area, and then you can get the reports back of like, oh, people are playing such and such decks, then you can know what you're playing against, and then you can tune your deck lists for what you're playing against. But with that said, this list, with it being underplayed, has, I think, the advantage of your opponent's not going to know exactly what you're doing. Whereas so many people have played against Sabine 100 million times. They're like, I know they could Fleet Lieutenant me here. I know they could do this or that. I know the Wrecker turn Poe, whatever, all the different things. And even though some of those things are in here, you can do them
Yeah.
earlier. You can combo them differently. There's a lot of different things that will potentially throw your opponent off by playing this.
Yeah, one important aspect that you're bringing up, and one of the reason why we're kind of sharing this list in the first place, is that we're talking about PQs, right? In particular, so it's October at the time of filming. PQs are starting right now, and being a larger competitive tournament compared to maybe like your store showdown, one element that is very key in these tournaments is obviously being prepared, but one of the elements is being able to bring something that other players are not expecting, an element of surprise of sorts. So you might even call it a sneak attack. Maybe Trevi, as we talk about this, based on your experience a little bit as well, how important is the element of surprise, and how do you think about it now that you're getting into PQs?
Well, surprise is really strong. If you're able to create surprise that is powerful, then it's really powerful. If you end up playing a surprise bad card, that's not a good surprise, you know. But you know, the other thing with like on the other side of surprise is, being comfortable as well. If you end up not being able to test any of these decks, but you've been playing another deck for a long time, you're probably safest to just play what you're comfortable with, because there's a greater chance that you could make mistakes or do things that are less than optimal with some of these newer decks. But that's why we're trying to hopefully get some of this information to you sooner, and hopefully you can test them out a little bit. But surprise is insanely powerful. I can't tell you, like, even in just other card games that me and Emmy have played, there's times where we would play a card in our deck that people did not play that card in their deck. And when you play that and they don't expect it, sometimes it's a full on blowout. Sometimes the game state transitions into a state that is not winnable for your opponent.
I agree. And I think like the element of surprise doesn't have to extend to just play something outlandish that they're not expecting, but they're not expecting because it's bad. Like the first step of considering something unexpected is as close as look at your sideboard. What's in your sideboard that you could potentially play in the main board that is a surprise in game one, right? I see in this deck, disabling Fang Fighter, right? Definitely a good side option, but does it need to be in the side? Could it be in the main? What are your main matchup? What could you expect? Right now, obviously, Boba is really popular. Well, right now, always been, but Boba Fett armor is really popular. And let's be honest, if you see that Boba Fett with that Boba Fett armor, you're very scared. As well as Sabine with the dark saber. But now, what's the next threat is Bosk Blue, Bosk Green, with all the the bounties, right, which are upgrades. So an example, like a real life example, would be, well, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna play my Disabling Fan Fighter in main because I want to have the edge on game one. And sure, maybe in some matchup there's no upgrades. Well, I'm not gonna tell you, well, just resource it. No, it's still, it will suck a little bit. But this is just an example to say, what could be an unexpected thing in game one, even, and not just as a whole, like just taking out outlandish card. Don't know if you agree, Trevi, or if you've done
Absolutely,
something
yeah.
like that before.
Yeah, and in fact, last weekend I was playing in. It wasn't a showdown, but it was a 1K-ish like thing. There was some bigger prizes, and at my locals, people have been completely just disrespecting Sabine because nobody's been playing it. I don't know what happened. If people just they were done with Sabine and they wanted to play everything else, but it allowed the meta around me to turn really greedy. And I decided to play Sabine last weekend, and I actually did what you said. I had 2 disabling Fang Fighters in my main deck because I wanted to be able to blow out the Boba armors, and I wanted to take out the Bosk bounties game one, and it was awesome, totally viable option. Basically, like what you said, when can your side cards be in the main for whatever's happening around you is a strong consideration.
Cool. Yeah, so we wanted to focus on these aspects of the decks more than like just deep diving into this list, mainly because I want to shout out again Swoop Racers. We're going to link the video where they dive deeper. So we believe this is a good pick for PQ, and we'll leave the video for you to go and check it out and really learn about the deck. But we have our next pick, which is Palpatine, and a less popular Palpatine, Palpatine Yellow, which I've sourced from the good old Lucas Townsend, who on Discord goes by Empires. Lucas has been piloting this specific Palpatine for quite a while. Actually took a game off of me on the last store showdown, which I'm still salty for. But nonetheless, we're shouting him out. Thanks again for sharing the list. And this is just a less expected Palpatine. So we go back to that element of surprise, where still we have a very powerful deck that brings combos like the triple dark raid, and obviously on the Vader potentially, not sorry, on the Vader, on the Walker, and we have our well-known cards like the OB, which I think is like one of the best, like maybe the best card in the game. I think Sneak Attack, that's what I was talking about. Sneak Attack into Vader, into the Trooper that can ready him, and you can attack twice. Have you seen that combo before, Trevi?
I've seen something about this where what it is I don't know the ruling on if it allows him to attack twice, but I know that what does happen is that sneak attack does. So the main combo before was that if you just play Vader and you get Snow Trooper Lieutenant out, the Snow Trooper can't make Vader have +2 power because he's exhausted to then ready himself to ambush. But with sneak attack, he is in play ready. So then when you do bring out the Snow Trooper Lieutenant from the sneak attack Vader, then you can have Vader attack for 7 power into something.
Yeah, so it's, the Vader can execute the attack from the Snow Trooper Lieutenant and then ambush as well, which is just incredible value. Obviously, you need, for the Vader to find that Snow Trooper, but you play 3 of them, and at times it comes out. And let's be honest, if it comes out, like, it's amazing, but you still have some really great targets with Vader, namely the Bazine. Lucas also mentioned that he replaced the 3 Bazine with Veers in a different deck list. But nonetheless, this list is heavily on space. As you can see, we're utilizing the Lurking TIE Phantom to catch your opponent off guard. And then we have some interesting sideboard options. But this is an example of a list that we believe is underrated because we don't see it often, and has that element of surprise that can really steal some games. Travi, anything you see that is curious on this list? Have you played against it? Is it new for you as well?
So, first of all, I am a very big Triple Dark Raid fan. I have so many lists that I have shown to 0 people that are Triple Dark Raid lists that are in my testing lab, still yet to be revealed. But there is a friend locally who has been playing Yellow Palpatine, and he does play Triple Dark Raid with it. He plays he definitely has Relentless in the main board too, and I don't think he has Gladiator or Star Destroyers, but it's still a Yellow Palpatine Triple Dark Raid, and it's super insane. And the thing that's crazy too with Palpatine having these giant vehicles, especially like a Devastator off Triple Dark Raid, and the sneak attack combos, is that you can literally just suddenly kill your opponent. Like, yeah, if you're at 8 resources and you Triple Dark Raid a Devastator that kills something on the board and hits your opponent for 10, and then it goes back into your hand next turn, and then you sneak attack it out and do it again, like, they're just dead so often. It's crazy. But I do, and I'm also a big fan of Snow Trooper Lieutenant off of Vader. There's a list that we'll get to in part 2 of this video that has some really awesome Snow Trooper shenanigans as well. But yeah, I'm a fan of this. I'm a big Triple Dark Raid fan.
Awesome. I think Lucas, when he messaged me, said he sees this as a taller Tarkin deck. So Tarkin space, we've seen it a little bit, and that's that could be another potential good choice. But just again, another shout out to Lucas. I think it's a really interesting pick for PQ, and just on your comment there, this is part 1. We're gonna have part 2 on Trevi's channel. So if you're watching this, you're enjoying it, leave a like, leave a sub, and go check out the other video on Trevi's channel. And we can just maybe jump on our last list, shall we?
Let's do it.
Awesome. I'll let you drive this one. I think this is your pick.
True. Yes, it is. So this is I did recently make a Cad Blue video on my channel, and feel free to check that video out. There'll be a little bit more insight in there. I definitely could have gone deeper, but this is where it is from there, because I'm constantly iterating. So this is where I'm at right now, and I know something in here that is going to drive some gamers crazy. Is what is the count here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 cards in this deck that there's only 1 of in the main.
That's what you said when you sent it to me. As soon as you sent it to me, you were like, "Yes, I know there are X number of 1X in the deck." Like, even before I could even see the list.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, some of there's extra copies of them in the side deck when it's needed. But something that's felt really cool about this deck is it honestly feels very solid into actually anything. It is true that Sabine's ceiling area, it can still just sometimes just kill you too fast. But outside of Sabine's like higher, most optimal plays, this deck really is super solid into anything. You have I think right now in this build I have 13 turn 1 units. You can, and with Cad's pings, you're able to clear the board so frequently. I do have one top target in here to help against the Sabine match a little bit. And also I do have one make an opening in here because of lurking TIE Phantom fear. But outside of that, everything else is really solid against everything.
I think your dog is agreeing with you.
It's true. It's true. Yes. They might be seeing somebody out there. Hopefully they relax for a second. But the other thing that's really cool, oh boy, is I do have the number of ambush units that are in yellow really make Cad's pings even more powerful, because with the frequency that you're able to keep the board clean, whenever your opponent plays their next unit, it essentially makes any of your ambush units have one more power than they usually do. So suddenly Forlom's ambushing for 5, or Bosques or Syndicate lackeys are ambushing for 6, Enfys is ambushing for 6, and there's so many times that it's just really unfortunate for your opponent. They flip their Ray, and then you're like, I'll just Syndicate lackeys in, and now suddenly Syndicate lackeys can reach Ray entirely. Something that I was off of for a little bit was Fennec Shand, but there is another local gamer who's been playing Cad Blue a lot as well, and I ended up playing a few matches against him with my own Cad Blue, and Fennec showed her strength in there, and she was able to ambush into a Snoke that I had on the board, and just her effect just killed Snoke. She didn't have to do any damage, and I was like, okay, I'll be testing out Fennec now. Yeah, she's super strong.
Interesting unit. Yeah. What I love about this list is actually the synergy between the kind of like how to utilize the events. So obviously we see Bosk, which we've seen in quite a few villainy lists right now, and how it interacts with events. You know, his effect getting like on stack and resolving even if a boss leaves the field. But also you have the what are their names? The bounty hunter crew, one in main and two inside. So you really lean on that event strategy.
Yeah, if so kind of the fear was, because what happened here is there was a bigger showdown that I wasn't able to participate in, but there were 3 Bosk Blues in the top 8, and everybody was really upset about it. And I mean, I'm sure that there might be one person on the planet that loves playing against Bosk Blue, but everybody else, doesn't really enjoy it. And you know what beats Bosk Blue is having infinite vigilance and infinite restock in your deck, and being able to discard the restocks out of your opponent's hand. And Bazine and Bounty Hunter crew fuel that. And fortunately, we already had Bazine in the main. And so what I did is I used to not have a Bounty Hunter crew in the main, but I decided to put one in there because I didn't need more vigilance against the average deck. And also Bounty Hunter crew has the ambush as well and is underworld and has more normal synergy with what my deck is doing. So I opted for, instead of 3 vigilance, putting in 1 bounty hunter crew to be able to keep my vigilance going in the main. And then when I need to go into the side against hard control, I just have the full package in there to just have it be an easy life for me.
Amazing. Well, we're gonna have the list for all these 3 decks down in the comments, and this was part 1, guys. I hope these lists are somewhat interesting, and maybe you will end up playing one of these at one of your PQs. But we're gonna wrap it up for today, and just remember to go and check the next part of these videos where we have 3 more underrated decks for PQ on Trevi's channel. Trevi, can you just remind us about the channel? Any final thoughts as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Travi CCG on YouTube. Yeah, we're gonna have 3 more decks. They're pretty interesting. I'm excited for you to check them out. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to the Nexus podcast here on YouTube, you should be subscribed. So Do that first.
Awesome. Thanks for watching. Till next time.